What's going on? What is going on? You know what time it is. Arthur Moats joined right now by Mark Bergin, the Channel 5 WRAL producer in Raleigh, North Carolina. And as you can see, I'm excited. Feeling real Irish. On a day like the day after the Pittsburgh Steelers take care of business 24-21 versus the Minnesota Vikings, going to 3-1 heading into the bye week. Was the word, Mark? How we feeling? Are you rested? Have you recovered from yesterday's early morning festivities?
If you're feeling Irish, Arthur, I'm feeling lucky. We got to talk about what was Mike Tomlin doing at the end of the game. I am pro Tomlin generally speaking, but the two indecisions late in the game drove me nuts.
Let's specifically talk about those, man. Let's do it.
Because I don't mind going for it in either scenario. But Mike Tomlin is notorious and known for his quote, "We don't live in our fears." And I felt like he was coaching in his fears in the fourth quarter of that game. So scenario.
I got to ask though, what makes it coaching in fear? Is it because we're putting defense out there, or is it because we're not putting offense out there?
Neither. It has to do with how many possessions the game, so fourth down and goal, and they barely get a playoff. Kenneth Gainwell it was at the 3-yard line, gets down to the 1, gets stopped. A field goal there, still it's a 2-score game, is Greg Olsen, who is excellent analyzing this game.
Absolutely.
Was excellent analyzing this game. Don't mind going for it, but the offense is on the field, and the special teams is ready, and they don't know what they want to do. Just make a decision one way or another. So
isn't that the one with Aaron Rodgers, though? That was, if I remember correctly, Rodgers was the one who was upset and wanted to have that swapped out,
Do you really
right?
think they ran the play he wanted to run? I think that they just tried to get something off very quickly. He looked absolutely furious on the sidelines.
I looked at it as best of both worlds, because Coach Tomlin for sure wanted to take the points because that's what you do in that situation, but Rodgers really wanted to go for it. So he says, okay, cool. What's the best of both worlds? If I drop back for a pass, what can go right? What can go wrong? Yes, we can throw it and it could be a completion for a touchdown. Great. Or it could be a strip sack. It could be an interception. Two things could go wrong. One thing can go positive. If I run the ball right here, we've been having a lot of success running the football. In fact, our best rushing performance all season long. Heck, even going back to last season. So you go right back to the safe call of, run this football, because if you pick up the yards that you were going to gain, because remember the first two plays, we did not get a lot positive, right? But we get it to Gainwell gets you down there for that even situation of fourth down. So now if Gainwell does pick it up 3-4 yards, you get the touchdown. Great. But if not, they got to go 99 yards. And we saw you needed all 99. Imagine you go for it. You decide to throw that football and won't get any yards. Or it's a sack. Heck, does Payton Wilson even have enough room to go stop Jordan Addison? So that's why I say, so I say we're not living in our fears with that. I just look at it as, man, if you're understanding a defensive mind, and Greg Olsen is what? An offensive mind. So it's always glass half full when we're thinking of, just go for it because it's going to work. We never think about the defense can make plays too, though, right?
I hear you. But this is where I know the team was in disarray, because they let the play clock go down to almost zero. They barely got the snap off.
Yes.
So then I've got it in my notes here, and I want to make sure I'm getting all of this right. They're down at Minnesota's 40 with 4th and 1, game on the line. It's not even a full yard, Arthur. And I understand Kenneth Gainwell gets stuffed on 3rd down. I cannot believe the Steelers opted to punt there. And they net 20 yards. They net 20 yards by punting. And Arthur, I understand you say, well, what if you don't get it? What are you doing to position your defense by that point?
So hold on.
We don't care about that part. And you put the game away.
Yes, we can say what if you do, and we live on the what if you do side. But let's also not act like if we go for it and don't get it, and now we're looking at Carson Wentz only needing 20 yards realistically, if that, to getting field goal range, but more than likely could go ahead and score. We would all be up here crucifying Coach Tomlin. So let's not do the double-edged sword thing, because we know that's the case. I looked at it as what is the strength of our team? Defense. So if the strength of my team is the defense, what is going to give my defense the best chance to win? Defender from the 40, or you kick it out the back of the end zone so you don't have any funny business on the return. I don't want to deal with no penalties. I don't want to deal with anybody falling. Kick it out the back, make them go 80 yards. Because if you look at the statistics for offenses that can go 80 plus yards and score, it's a lot smaller than when they only got to go 40 yards, 60 yards to score. So to me, I don't look at that as playing in my fears. I look at that as you understand how to win a game, and you're leaning on the strength of your team. And when we look at how the flow of the game was going, who was the more dominant performance?
Kenneth Gainwell.
Keanu Benton. Oh, we don't care about Benton. Patrick Queen, Payton Wilson. You catch my drift? So to me, I'm like, yeah, it does sound sexy to come up here and only talk offense, to only say, well, why didn't we go for it? Greg Olsen said it. Greg Olsen plays offense. A defensive guy's like, yo, I want it on me. I want to be the reason we win this game, because defense wins. You saw TJ Watt make plays. You saw Nick Herbig make plays. Deshaun Elliott making plays. Jalen Ramsey making plays. We go down the list. So to me, I'm like, no, that's not a negative. That's not a, yo, you're playing close to the vest trying not to lose. No, that's you putting your best people out there saying, man, if I got to go down with somebody, I'm going down with the highest paid group. This is the group, right? This one put all those investments in, right? So why wouldn't I want them out there in the most critical situation of the game?
I love this conversation, Arthur, because
Me
the
too.
interchat
This
is going to
beautiful,
go
man.
crazy.
Oh,
The
I
interchat
love
is
it.
going to go crazy.
Yes,
You
because
knit
it's the difference in
20
philosophies.
yards. You
Yes.
knit 20 yards. I understand Kenneth Gainwell gets stopped on 3rd and short. You even put your offense on the field on 4th down. They weren't ready to go either, and I knew they weren't going to run a play.
You weren't
Look at
going
the
for
top.
that play.
Look
You
at
know
the
you weren't
top.
going for that play.
Look at the very top of the screen. I believe it might have been Freiermuth. There's a tight end up at the line of scrimmage. He wasn't even down in a stance. So it's like, as soon as I see that, it's like, okay, try to draw him off sides. You
That's
can't
it.
gain a yard. Like, Arthur, maybe this is my bigger point. You can escape the Vikings in Dublin. I'm thrilled to be 3-1.
Wait a minute. Time out. Mark, hold on now. Now they're escaping. When me and you just did this show a week ago, you were not even confident that they were going to win. Vegas had them as 2.5 to 3-point dogs. Now they're escaping when they didn't even trail.
They had a multi-score lead.
They never trailed. Did they trail at all this game?
No, but they had a multi-score lead
Did
in
they
the fact
trail
that
Arthur,
the Steelers had to rely on Payton Wilson running faster than any linebackers run in the NFL since at least 2017 to win this game. Hell of a play.
Was that not talked about Payton Wilson coming out? He's a first-round talent, and he can fly. So he can't actually put that on display. If DK Metcalf, we don't penalize DK Metcalf.
The Steelers do not win yesterday.
Hey, and guess what else, though? Guess what else? If we don't slip in coverage and they have a chance to score a touchdown, they don't even come that close anymore, right? We could do the if and buts, but we know the truth is what? When you're out there, you either make the plays or you don't. We don't look at Justin Jefferson slipping early in the game saying, man, if he don't slip, that's a touchdown. We lose. Nah, we say, yo, he slipped. Should have checked his cleats. We made such a big ordeal about the Steelers not going over to the stadium to walk through and check their cleats, right? That was such a big storyline. But at the end, who was the one slipping around? Who were the ones making mistakes? We were told that, man, they're going to coach circles, right? Coach circles around this. Kevin O'Connell, way better offensive mind than Arthur Smith, right? Hey, man, Brian Flores. Oh, my God, he should be the head coach of the Steelers because he's a better defensive mind than Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin. But as I'm watching this game unfold, who was the more penalized team? As I'm watching this game unfold, who had the turnovers? As I'm watching this game unfold, who was giving up explosive plays? Their defense. At the end of the game, when it's the guy to have it, not even the guy to have it, the DK Metcalf touchdown, the long 80-yard bomb, right? Hey, I thought all that complexity that we love to see from Brian Flores was so sexy, but what did we say? Difference of philosophies. Small menu, big understanding, or you can have a lot going on, but you also open up the chance for blown coverages. And that's literally what you get, blown coverage. So we could do that whole, man, they escaped this and that, but it's like, man, that's the revisionist history. I remember very well what the conversation was around this Minnesota Vikings team. They were so big and bad because of what they did to Cincinnati last week, right? So why are we changing that all of a sudden now? Because the Steelers went in their particular brand, even with the, man, you're really going to rely on defense? No, that's not a negative. Watch how we do it. And they did it. And they were dominant at times in this game.
Up multiple scores, I maintain escaped. I honestly, and let us know in the injured chat, like,
yes,
Team Arthur, Team Mark.
Yes.
What did you think about the fourth down and goal situation? And then again, late in the game, you're on the Vikings 40 on 4th and 1. It was less than 1, by the way, as well. And this is where I know the Steelers used this earlier in the game. They used a tush push with
I saw that.
Aaron Rodgers in the backfield, to where if you had a quarterback who's capable of that with Rodgers, and look, I don't want to get Rodgers injured on a tush push play with him being 41 and all of that, but man, don't live in your fears, Arthur. I maintain what I said, because it's like,
I just don't understand, why is it if you put your defense out there is living in your fears, but if you go for it on offense and you fail, hey, it's all good. Hey, it's nothing wrong. You just try your best.
The first scenario has to go from going from, if you score the touchdown, you make it a 2-possession to a 3-possession game. There's nothing to do with offense or defense. That's the 2 possessions to 3 possessions. And at the end of the game, less than a yard, and you put the team away, and you don't give the Vikings the opportunity to possess the football. It's like, it's not really.
Or they stop you, and now they have the football with only how many yards to go. You only think of it from one side with this offense. Why is that, though? Why is it that the confidence level with offense? No. Let's answer that. Why is it always, if offense has the ball, we feel so much more confident? But we criticize offense in terms of protection, in terms of their lack of rushing ability, right? This was the first game all season we've seen our offense go over 100 yards on the ground. Now we got all this confidence that the offense just go out there, right? Why is that all of a sudden? Defense that made plays throughout the season, but all of a sudden now it's, hey, in this critical moment, if you're not relying on offense, you're living in fears. I just don't agree with that. I think you can have just as much confidence in your defense, especially when we are set up the way that our team is set up. Who's the TJ Watt of our offense? Who's the Cam Hayward of our offense? When we go down that list, right? Who's the Jalen Ramsey of the offense? The Darius Slay of the offense? Who's the Keanu Benton of the offense? Like, we go down the list. It's like, yo, but we want, in the most critical moment, the weightiest parts of the game, we want to put that side out there, and that's considered confidence? No, I look at that as malpractice, man. Stick with the guys you paid. If I got a Ferrari over here, why, if it's time for me and you to race, I'm going to go get this Ford F-150? No, I know it's clean. I know it does a great job. And on some days, man, when I'm dealing with sand, construction work, man, I want that F-150. But you mean to tell me it's the guy to have it? It's on the line right now? I'm going to get the Ferrari. I'm not playing with that. No, you call that living in your fears. I call it going to get the big boy. So I get it. We got a difference of perspective on that one, baby. But defense, man, just because you rock with that, that does not mean you are scared. Not at all.
We're going to agree to disagree on that, and that's fine. To me, though, this is reflective of what the problem has been when you play stiffer competition, particularly when it comes to the playoffs, for how modern NFL football is played. Arthur, I totally understand your point about highest paid defense, shut it down, trust your defense, that's where the money is. I understand your point. But if you can't pick up less than a yard when you're in, like, it'd be one thing if you were in your own territory making that decision. You are in Vikings territory in that decision, and we're talking about 20 yards. We're arguing over 20 yards right now. If the defense is that shut down, if the defense is that shut down, can you still not rely on them if you are stopped short and Minnesota takes over from its 40 instead of its 20? So it's like, when you play the stiffer competition later on in the year and you make the decision that you did to play so conservatively, it catches up with you. And we've seen that. We've seen that because the offense hasn't been what it's needed to be since Big Ben and the Killer Bees, if we're being very honest with ourselves, Arthur. So it's not just this game, but it's like, great, you can beat the Vikings in week 4 in Dublin. And we, again, feel great. 3-1. Feel great about that.
I'm just trying to figure out what changed so much within 7 days that now it's, oh, you can beat the Vikings. Oh, the Vikings are a good team. No. Mark, hold on. Mark, let's not do that, because the way that people, you, national media, Steeler fans included, We're talking about the Vikings because they scored 34 points on the Cincinnati Bengals in the first half. Let's not minimize them all of a sudden. Let's not act like they still don't have a good record. I mean, you look at their record compared to Baltimore, right? We're going to say that Baltimore's still a great team, an awesome team, and all these other things, but they're 1-3 right now, right? So I'm just trying to figure out why all of a sudden Minnesota, because of us actually beating them, now they are just, they're not a good team, man. Hey, man, we found ways to get it by. It's like the narrative shifted, but if they beat us, oh man, it's a totally different conversation around the Vikings and around us. That's the part to me that I just feel is a disconnect right there.
I got you. I think we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about being up 24-6 in the fourth quarter with about 11 minutes and some change. That is what I'm talking about.
Did they win or did they lose though? Because I was confused. I thought the decision to not go for it made them lose. I thought the decision for they had to go for overtime. That's what I thought. I thought that happened. That's what I was trying to figure out. So I'm like, maybe I missed it. I'm like, yo, did it not work? So did you talk about the defense? The defense, all this. Heck, when it was gotta have it in the last drive of the game, right? The last drive of the game, and they still who made the mistake in that one too, right? Delayed game. Crazy that a Kevin O'Connell offense that has Justin Jefferson. No. But they make the mistake, and hey, they make a mistake, and we minimize that. But let defensively us made a mistake. Oh, we will be crucifying them, right? So we don't make the mistake, and that's not a positive. We force them into the errors, and that's still not a positive. We get the stops, and that's still not a positive. Create the turnovers, stop them in certain areas. None of that is good enough, and that's the part where it's just like, well, what exactly are you looking for? Because even with all of these decisions that we're critical of, and even though the difference of philosophies, and we're still pointing and we're saying it still got them out that stadium with a victory, right? When they weren't even favored. What are we missing here? Which the good team? Because the Vikings were supposed to be the good team in this matchup.
The vaunted Steelers defense, Arthur, and I'm just stirring the pot now at this point, had to rely on an intentional grounding penalty and a delay of game penalty. Again, I'm going to say it to escape Minnesota because you had a 24-6 lead. Look, I am much happier we're having this conversation after victory than if they had blown this game, Arthur. You'd be saying some of the same things that I'm saying. I'm telling you.
Mark, you know what I'm going to say, Mark? If they would have went for it in that situation, and that would have been the reason why they lost because of you and a lot of other people that are so passionate about the offense, oh, yeah, for sure, I would have had a way different tone. For sure I would have. But because Coach Tomlin, as a defensive-minded person, like myself, did what a person like myself would also like to do in that situation. Oh, yeah. Because to me, I would say this, though, right? If we're really going to get down to the nut and bolts of it, my issue is more so with him deciding to allow Aaron Rodgers to talk him out of kicking the field goal. I'm taking those points early, and
wait a second.
No. Don't you wait a second. I'm telling you for a fact, this is what I'm doing. That third after the game will pick up to get him down to, was it 4th and goal from the 4? Take the points. You go up 13 right there. I'm going with that right there. And then from there, now let's see how the rest of this game flows because how my defense plays. I get it, though. He wanted to make his veteran quarterback feel good. But he also said, I'm not willing to risk that when I know what I'm dealing with today. So that was the best of both worlds. I don't like it. I want the points. Take the field goal, take the points. Now we will see what that situation even looks like the next go around. But because we went for it and did get it there, now that situation looks very different when we're talking about, oh, hey, man, scoring wise, hey, this ain't no big lead no more. You sure you really want to do this right here? Those are the different mindsets. But once again, when you're the coach, you got to kind of find ways to appease. You got to make sure that everybody is feeling good in some capacity while still maintaining a certain level of, this is how I want to do it. Because everybody has these like different ways, but we see they're week to week. Man, some people feel like, the only way you can win is if you throw the ball 1,000 times. But then we find ways that we win without doing that. Some people feel like, man, the only way you can run the ball is out of 13 personnel. And it was like, well, yesterday, it was more Darnell Washington. They gave you some Spencer Anderson, right? That's a little bit different. So it's like, man, we're seeing that, hey, every week it's a different way to get up out of a stadium. But as long as you're finding those ways and you're doing it in a multitude of ways, that's what success is at this level. Because there isn't just one hard fight. This is the only way to win at this level. And that's been proven too many times now.
I get your point. Where do you want to go from here? I think we've talked about the coaching decision again. In the injured chat's going to go crazy.
Oh, you better believe they're going to lose it. They're going to like this. They're going to like it. And, and the fact that, man, you have very hard stances on it too. That's the beautiful part of like, you like offense or you find comfort in having the ball. I find comfort in, man, we're going to smash you. We're going to stop you. There's nothing you can do. And in fact, I might mess around and score on you on defense. Different mentalities, man. Way different mindset.
Hey, whenever
you look at a turnover, some people look at turnovers as lucky, right? If you throw a touchdown pass, is that considered lucky? The DK catching the slant, taking 80, is that considered luck, or is that just, hey, heck of a play by DK, right? Everybody said heck of a play by DK and Rodgers, right? But hey, we get that interception to Sean Elliott. Oh man, Wentz just gave you that one. That was luck right there. Or if it was a fumble, oh man. Come on, bro. He just did.
The TJ Watt interception isn't luck, Arthur. I hear what you're saying. But you see
what I'm saying? It's like, that's the way and the only reason we won't throw the TJ Watt in there is because it was TJ Watt. Let that have been Keanu Benton. Oh, man, that's luck, bro. Let that have been Nick Herbig. Oh, that's fluke. You see what I'm saying?
Hey,
why is that? When we break down
a grounding and a delay a game. A grounding and delay a game.
Look, offense, we had to worry about a blown coverage for us to have success throwing the football. We had to worry about their D linemen slipping out of stances for us to have success. You see what I mean? Like, we could do it both ways. It's not a negative, though. If you go out there and you make the play, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Did you or did you not do it? And for the Steelers, they did it.
All right, I had 3 game balls, Arthur, that I would give out in this one. The Payton Wilson play, I would put that on tape to any young football player. What does it mean to play to the echo of the whistle? He is a linebacker. He is not a safety. He is not a corner. He is a linebacker running as fast as he did. Again, they were saying the fastest a linebacker has run since at least 2017 is what I saw. But several years. 22.48 miles per hour, Arthur. I saw this when he was at NC State. I live in Raleigh. I went to the Notre Dame game. He chased down a Notre Dame ball carrier that runs a 4.3 or 4.4. And the NC State coach the following Monday, his name's Dave Dorn, was quoted as saying is the fastest they had ever charted a player in NC State history. Now, I don't know how far their advanced metrics go, but we knew this at the combine where it's not just the very fast 40 speed in a cutoff in shorts. Short of that play, the Steelers do not win. And the importance of it taking a full minute of time off the clock was huge. So it's like, I look at that play and I would show it to any young player to say, you play to the echo of the whistle and it's just a relentless pursuit to the football. I give him a game ball for that and that alone. It was an outstanding play.
No, 1,000%. I mean, that's what you're talking about when you just say, man, be a professional. Your effort shouldn't matter on certain plays, right? Every play, it should be the exact same. You're playing full speed until the play is done. Echo of the whistle. So when you look at Payton Wilson, who we said, man, this is a dude that can fly. And unfortunately, he was put in a situation where he had to display that speed. Most of the time, we're like, yo, you should never have to run that fast because the only time you're running that fast is when you're chasing somebody. What if something bad happening?
What about the pick six, Arthur? Oh, come on, Arthur. What about your pick six?
But you never have to run that fast on a pick six because everybody's going that direction. That's why you see Jalen Ramsey and company can celebrate doing what we want to do. Yeah. Because once again, y'all going that way, man. When you have to run that fast, even on and let's just say kickoff. And that was the old school kickoff. Now that you can't run that fast on kickoff anymore. Because I was going to say, when they said 2016, I would actually tell you, go look at Vince Williams, opening kickoff, Kansas City Chiefs playoff game. That's who it was. He gave you 23 on the GPS. Because we was all looking like, how the heck you do that? We was all dropping 20s and 21s like, bro, what? But once again, that's the only situation where you're actually able to fully open up and go. Unless it's a bad scenario. And that's the part where you like, thank God, Payton Wilson, you're athletic like you are. But the same way we look at DK and we don't say, man, oh, man, you being that fast is a bad thing. No, you being that fast is great because when we need it, we don't know when it's going to be. You might be chasing Buda Baker down on a pick, right? And you might need to make it. Or it might be yesterday you catching this slant and taking it 80. We don't know when it's going to be showing up when we're going to need it the most. But Daygore, we just glad that you have it. And for Payton Wilson right there, it's like, yeah, you made some TFLs. You were sideline to sideline. Had one of your better games as a Steeler. But, man, the play that we're going to forever remember from this game, not them tackle for losses, not any of that pressure, not anything else. that's the play that's going to stick out in a great way. And when we look back, if this season goes the way that it's shaping up, right? Because through all of the disagreements, which I think is beautiful, because it's like for us to be like this after a win on the road and we're sitting at 3-1 going into the bye, heck, what happens when we really start to cook, right? Because we both would agree, yeah, there is plenty of stuff, even in this game, where it's like, yeah, we could be better here, we could be better there. But it's like, yo, we're still sitting at 3-1 after the beginning of this thing where it wasn't even supposed to be like that. I'm like, man, this is a good problem to have. These are good issues. So that's the thing where I'm looking at this team and it's like, yeah, there's some optimism surrounding it. But we're going to look back at this play as, yo, this was a critical play this season. This was one of those deciding factors, because if he doesn't make that and they find a way to lose, like you're talking about, right? Hey, they escaped, or hey, Jordan Addison runs that in man's touchdown. Now we're figuring out, okay, offense doesn't get the touchdown at the end or the tie play at the end. All right, we take the L. What does that do, right? Momentum-wise, confidence-wise, decision-making going into the bye week. All of those things are impacted in the negative space. Whereas now when you coming back after that win, heck, the only negative I was seeing was, man, I guess we should have, good thing we didn't install custom, Pittsburgh Steelers video games on our play, right? Because I know that was the other big narrative, right? Because they had the cool, first class seats with the cool video games that bit that they were going to win. Right? These are all the reasons why they should feel confident. I'm like, if we were going to, that's one of my negatives. Like, if there's going to be a negative, that's the negative I was expecting, Mark. That's the one I wanted to hear. That was the one I was looking for. I'm like, give me that negative. Let's talk about that one. But I get. Shout out to Payton Wilson.
I didn't realize you had a vendetta against the Vikings, Arthur.
No, it's not a vendetta against the Vikings. I just don't like when I'm not a fan of criticizing but not praising with that same level of energy. You feel me? I always feel like as a society, we are so quick to criticize and hold feet to fire. We want accountability, right? That's like the thing. And I'm all for accountability. But at the same time, when you are having the success and you are doing those same things in a positive manner, why aren't we just as loud with the praise? And that's always my issue. So it's like, man, I just try to make sure that I speak through my actions. Yeah, we're going to criticize. I'm going to critique. I got certain things that I don't like. But there are other parts where I'm like, yeah, if I could be as hard on this player about this, if I could be as hard on Terrell Austin as this, if I could be as hard on Arthur Smith about this, well, daggone. When you do it and you actually hold these teams and you score these points and you find ways to deliver, heck, I'm going to also find ways to praise you in those spaces as well. And I think that we just lose that duality at times because we only want to focus on what went wrong versus also looking at what went right. And it doesn't mean that you're complacent. It doesn't mean that you're glossing over. It doesn't mean that you're biased. It's just true context. And I think that everything has that. But we got to make sure that we're a little bit more intentional about that. Otherwise, it's easy to get lost on one way versus the other. Because if we just came up here and it's only positive, it's like, yo, that's not how this is either. But it's like, yo, it can't be all negative when everything literally leading up was Steelers don't stand a chance. We know that was how that's how the narrative was. That's how it was talked about. Even to the point where us within our own selves were kind of like, is this a game where they're really going to even be able to do this? We could go back and look at it. It's like, yo, we know. Hey, so it's like now all of a sudden it just like drastically shifts. It is like, we never even talked about the overcoming part. We never talked about them actually. Caleb Johnson, right? We saw an appearance from him for the first time since he was, negatively a part of the Seahawks performance. We don't even get to that. It's like, that's redemption. That was positive. He actually gave us some critical rushing yards also at the end of it, right? Wasn't an all-world performance. He protected the ball, though. He showed that we can actually trust him a little bit more. It was a step in the right direction. Offensive line-wise, right? Heck, I was up here like, man, Greenwork, man, you better be careful about that dude, man. He can ball. How many times did Aaron Rodgers get sacked and how many times did Aaron Rodgers get hit? And then you go look at Carson Wentz. And I know their offensive line got bumped up and bruised up, but do we ever use that as an excuse for us? No, we do not care. Figure it out. We be hollering about fire Pat Myers. I didn't see anybody hollering about, man, we should keep Pat Myers. Hey, man, Pat Myers did great this week. Hey, does Pat Myers get a game ball this week? We had over 100 yards rushing. Aaron Rodgers didn't get beat up. But no. No, I haven't seen a Pat Meyer anything but leading up the first play of the game when it was a sack. You know how many people popped up and said, "Dang, going Pat Meyer, man, Pat Meyer, you suck, man. You got to fire Pat Meyer." Why is Pat Meyer a coach here? Because the first play of the game was a sack, right?
One of two they had on Rodgers. Two.
Right. One of two the whole game, right? handful of hits, not even 10 hits. They're just like, yo, he didn't even get hit. He wouldn't even get hit. But hey, nobody, I haven't seen a lick of, man, Pat Meyer, shout out to Pat Meyer. But we overdo the, man, fire him. He's the worst. If Broderick isn't developing, then what about the rest of the offensive line, right? We will holler about one and say the one bad is worse than any of the four that are doing good. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. But now when we actually protect, when we actually run block, did you see the holes? Did you see the amount of movement that they had for Kenneth Gainwell? But yet we are not going to mention Pat Meyer. And we get called biased. And that's the part where I'm like, are fans just naturally negative? Because we're biased for pointing out when a dude does well and pointing out when there is some positivity in the negative. But when there actually is positivity, it's just crickets. Why is that? Help me. Did the O-line not do good? I thought the O-line did good. I thought Pat Meyer should get a game ball, man.
That was a perfect segue. I would have said Kenneth Gainwell getting the start, Jaylen Warren, a late scratch, career high, 99 yards on the ground. Hey, Arthur, 5.2 yards rushing, you were like, well, Mark, why do you want to go for it in these scenarios? I'm just saying, I've made my point there.
But why
Two
not run the ball?
touchdowns, also a career high. And then, hang on, the 35 yards receiving. Kenneth Gainwell, I thought, was outstanding. And yet again, we're seeing him in that opener. We saw him force the fumble, making impact plays, moving the chains. I felt he finally got into rhythm, and I hope that's something that they can carry beyond the bye week of getting, whether it's him or Warren. I still expect one of the two to kind of take the reins here, get one of them in rhythm, and then ride the hot hand, Arthur.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It did look like he was comfortable, and no surprise with no Jaylen Warren. That was probably the first time all season where he's known that I'm going to get the lion's share of the carries, the lion's share of the reps. I think that part of the pros and cons of having two backs that are kind of similar in terms of Warren and Gainwell, you don't have to change your offense much. But when you're trying to figure out who do I want to catch the third down pass versus who do I want to have this little bit of a, misdirection run, it's like you're kind of battling against themselves, so to speak, with Gainwell and Warren being so similar. And I think that that's part of what Arthur Smith and this offensive staff have to figure out over the bye week is what you're seeing in terms of how do we utilize them both in a manner that highlights them and keeps them in rhythm without it being too much of a telltale or us becoming almost, exclusively finesse style runs. That's some of the stuff. But because I asked myself, man, with the runs that we're seeing Kenneth Gainwell have yesterday, if Jaylen Warren is healthy, how many of those are we actually seeing be Gainwell? I don't think he gets half of those carries if that's Jaylen Warren healthy in this game. I think that is going to be his role. And now you see Gainwell kind of exclusively in that special team / third down role. But when Warren is out that lineup, or even if he's coming back, depending on how they feel about the severity of his situation, right? Because he was a late scratch, meaning he was kind of close to playing, but I think they said he didn't feel good about it Saturday, right? So it's like, if that's the case, then maybe they decide to be a little bit more cautious with him over these next couple of weeks. And that could be where we see more Gainwell in terms of those guys getting a chance to get true rhythms. And that would bode well for both of them dudes, man. Because, you already know how that is, man. As players, when you get a chance to get comfortable, be out there, you're going to feel better. You're going to play faster. You're going to look like you belong versus you were in a series and you kind of got the rhythm of how they're playing you or how your guys around you are playing. But now when you come out, it's like, dang, all right. You got to get reacclimated when you finally get your chance to get back in. And that does have a negative impact at times.
Yeah. And I'm fine because you've got the bye week as well. So you've got more time to recover from Warren's standpoint. I thought we've had back-to-back weeks where the defense has played well. 6 sacks of Carson Wentz. Patrick Queen as well. I want to give him a shout out.
PQ.
11 tackles, 1 sack, 3 TFLs.
And also, we had 14 QB hits to the Vikings having 2 sacks and 3 QB hits. That was the one I have for you guys. I just want to make sure I brought that up. Yes.
Huge.
For both sides of us, man.
TJ Watt things. Welcome back to Sean Elliott with an interception of his own. TJ Watt, oh, man, that was such a huge play. And then the DK Metcalf touchdown, too, with Rodgers. Beautiful camera work as well. In this game where they had Metcalf just flying down the field and then Rodgers putting his hands up to signaling the touchdown. Oh, man,
it looked picturesque.
Forget Canton. Put
Like,
that in the Louvre. Put that in the Louvre in France, Arthur.
It was absolutely gorgeous scenery. Like when they would shoot some of those visuals at ground level or even the up where you can see like the sky in the background, I'm like, yo, this is a beautiful game. And then because we went on top of it, it was just like, oh, all right, man. Maybe we play better at 9:30 in the morning. Maybe that's what we need to have more games. Like, all right, I was really over here trying to figure it out because, Mark, when the last time all three phases? Now, actually, I was gonna say all three. I forgot we had a block. My man,
credit the good play there though, because I mean, like most of Boswell's misses have either been from very long range, like 50 plus. Or like, hey, the field goal got blocked. The defender made a nice play.
So as much as I would love to just credit Isaiah Rodgers, because I actually have done that position on the field goal protection side, you got to stab that dude. You watch him, he doesn't stab him. And that's why he's able to knock the arm down. You shorten the corner like that, and that promotes the block. It's no different when you watch interior offensive linemen. If they don't stab with right hand to protect one gap, but then still have that other arm over here to protect their other guy, you're going to naturally have that slip, which you saw Jordan Davis have versus the Rams for the game-winning field goal block a week ago. So, yes, Isaiah Rodgers still had to execute, right, in terms of, man, getting a great jump, bending that edge, 1-2, reaching with the off arm. But the flip side, yeah, coaching wise, man, you got to land that punch. And they say you can't miss because when you miss, that's what happens. But you can't shoot with two hands because if you do that, now a guy can jump through that gap to the right of you between where Move would have been at and that down D lineman. I forgot who it was that would have been in front of him as the tight end. So those are some of the things just from a technical point that I know Danny Smith is going to look, because that was the first thing I'm like, yo, how does he beat him off the edge? Because our operation time should always be too clean in terms of snap, hold, kick, that guy, if you just get a piece of him, he should never be able to come through like that. But when he's able to cleanly swipe your hands, it shortens that edge. And that's part of the thing. So I look at it as both ways. And shout out to Isaiah Rodgers, though. You think about these past 2 weeks, this dude has had a heck of a time. I mean, he was the guy who had the 2 big touchdown returns a week ago. He comes back, has the block field goal. Heck, I was laughing at this. They were trying to give him more coverage on how fast he ran, chasing after DK on his touchdown. I'm like, bro, you ain't even make the play. You ain't make the tackle. Payton Wilson's way more important. He actually made the play, and we actually won because of this play. So I do not care about how fast Isaiah Rodgers ran. Look at how fast Rodgers ran on this play. It's like, yo, if he ran that fast, he should have been in coverage better, all right? If he was been in coverage better, he didn't have to run that fast. So you know what? I don't care about how fast that man ran. So, yeah, but shout out to Rodgers, though, man. He's definitely been balling, though. But it goes both ways. It's like technique-wise, we could be better right there, and Muth for sure will be better.
All right, I got to ask you about this because there's some injuries. Calvin Austin III and a shoulder sling after the game. Maybe you make a move at receiver. We'll talk about that. But what I want to ask you about, Arthur, is Jalen Ramsey in the third quarter leaves the game with a hamstring injury.
The irony.
Earlier in the first quarter. Okay.
The irony. So
you think he was faking the hamstring injury on the fumble recovery? We thought it was a touchdown.
1,000%.
I fell for it.
Oh, no. Because Justin Jefferson has done that before. That was like, he's faked the hammy and then did the gritty. So when he started pulling up, I'm like, oh, I already know what this is because the Vikings. So you expect all Justin Jefferson or gritty stuff. It was funny. You could tell they were playing the Vikings because the gritty celebrations, and you could tell they were in Ireland because how many river dance, Conor McGregor walk, like we saw just heavy on that celly, right? So that was for sure what Ramsey was doing. But it just is like, yo, the irony of it all, 2 quarters later, you actually it's like, bro, come on, man. But it was epic though, man. Think about how hyped we all were with that. Before they showed the replay of, you talk about luck. Is that not one of the luckiest? Your foot was on the white and you just happened to be touching. We talk about luck.
That
right?
and the James Pierre, what should have been an interception, but they said he bobbled it.
Hold on. I'm about to say, and when was that? What play was that? That was the first play after what happened? I was just trying. Just correct me because I know I ain't got the best memory, man. You know what I'm saying, man. There was a lot of hits. I ain't got the best memory, but I could have sworn you told me that the decision to punt, it was a net of 20, and oh my god! But I'm pretty sure the first play, not the second play, the first play. It was the first play. Yeah. So what would you say about Pierre? What you have?
it's going to be week 13, and we're going to come back to this and be like, this is why we should have gone for it. It's like, no, Mark, you're wrong. It's going to be week 13 or week 14.
I love it.
This all goes back to week 4 in Dublin against Minnesota.
It's about the philosophy, man. It's the philosophy. Defense wins championships. Remember that, guys. Defense. All right.
I got to sneeze here. Hang on.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Live on the pod. Oh, man. It's going to be later on in the year. We're going to all come back to that. But what is that? Karma for Jalen Ramsey? Yeah. It's like he's going to be out a few weeks. Hopefully you can get Joey Porter Jr. back from a hamstring injury of his own to help fill that void.
Yeah. They were close on him.
Hamstrings aren't fun. Hamstrings are not fun. And then, look, Calvin Austin the third.
That's what JPJ has been out for, if you think about it, too.
Yeah.
What, going on 4 weeks now? So.
And then Calvin Austin the third. I've got this circled on my calendar, Arthur. November the 4th, 4 o'clock Eastern time on that day is the NFL trade deadline. Mm-hmm. Do you try to make a move at the receiver position because he is your clear number 2? And then, look, maybe this is Roman Wilson's opportunity to finally get some snaps because you mentioned Caleb Johnson earlier. It's hard to develop a player if that said player doesn't see the field. So it's like this is going to be his opportunity. You've got the bye week, but I would want to bring someone in sooner rather than later because we saw a year ago when this team traded for Mike Williams, and I still think that bringing him in midseason, he struggled to get acclimated to everything and to make him part of the offense. So where this team goes, if Calvin Austin III is out for several weeks, that's going to be huge. You know what you've got in DK. Another thing we'll talk about, too, is the reliance on the tight ends. Darnell Washington, by far, got the most snaps in this game. And through 4 weeks, the salary that Pat Fryermuth's making, 7 receptions, Arthur. They have hardly used him in the passing game at all. I don't know if that's by design. I don't know if that's what Rodgers is comfortable with. But the stats speak for themselves relative to the salary that this team is paying him. Still huge questions I have. I mean, there were questions we had going into the year. Who's wide receiver 2? Who emerges in that role when defenses take away DK Metcalf? Who steps up and wins their one-on-ones?
All of those are legit. All of those we're in the same boat with. I would say this, Calvin Austin, now that we got him back in the States, let's MRI. Let's just see what the severity is. If it's something where we're talking about a casual, little dislocate type situation, and you're going to see him playing with that little black little strap thing over his pad, you know what I mean, to kind of help him restrict some of the motion. But as a whole, you can play with it. Then I'm not, losing my mind over it because it's not lower body, and his game is based off of the speed that he plays with. And I feel confident that he can still catch. If it's something where we're talking about 4 weeks or longer, right? Broke collarbone, separated shoulder, those type of things, I'm with you sooner rather than later, because regardless of how talented a player is, it takes time to learn an offense or a defense. But even more so the offensive side because of the timing. We saw with Jabril Peppers, you can dumb down certain things defensively, and guys can go just because of the similar nature of techniques from a defensive standpoint, whereas offense, verbiage, the timing of it, the styles of offense, and we know with our style of offense, it is a little bit more condensed, right? We play a physical brand, but our passing, it's more, we're requiring those guys to do more blocking than necessarily robust route running at this stage. So those are certain things that when you're talking about receivers coming in here, who is that guy? What does that look like? Unless they're Calvin Austin fast, right? Because we know his role. But when we transition from that part, it's like, until we know the severity of it, I'm still kind of waiting. Like I said, if we can get out of this thing and it's a 2-3, nothing crazy, I'm fine with waiting on him, and we'll see if Roman Wilson can step up and ultimately expand his role. But if it's going to be longer than that, then it's like, no, I don't want to do the Roman Wilson experiment on a long-term stage just yet, because he hasn't given me enough to make me feel that confident in him just yet. Now with the
I read on X that Croke Park didn't have an X-ray machine. Is that common?
So
For an
most
NFL stadium, I'm talking. I know this is an
so
international game.
so the majority of the NFL stadiums now have X-ray machines. I think the only one that we ran into that didn't, actually no, not even more, because it was the old Raider Stadium. They used to not have one, but now now that they're in Vegas, they have one. Shoot, we over here like, man, when y'all gonna start putting MRI machines in there, right? That's like the next wave, man. But yeah, most stadiums you should have X-rays. But I get it, man. For Croke Park, I think that was they yeah, because they only do yeah, they don't have football like traditional American football games with this. I don't know what that looks like from an injury standpoint in terms of, how frequently guys get hurt playing rugby and some of the other sports that they use the stadium for. But for sure, because of just how frequently dudes get hurt and bones breaking and stuff like that. Yeah, you want to know. Yeah, we want to know right away.
What were you going to say, Arthur? Before
So yeah, the
I
other
was just
thing,
curious about that.
yeah. So the other thing I was just hitting the second part of what you were talking about with the tight ends and specifically Pat Fryermuth, and
Yeah.
part of the lack of his role and the lack of his usage to me is it has a lot of layers in it. The first part was offensive line, right? When we felt like, man, we couldn't consistently run or consistently pass block, right? In terms of some of the deeper shots, we said, okay, well, how do you protect offensive line? Well, you got to add a tight end that can help block. So who's the better blocker? Darnell, right? Clear cut. That's the best blocker. So in situations where you don't want to tip your hand and go full two tight ends, you would go with Darnell, right? Or, okay, we'll try to do the move thing, but we said, okay, if move isn't necessarily the best blocker and we're not even having the best running attack, does that make the most sense to put him out there? Maybe you go Jonnu Smith, who we see act as a pseudo running back at times with some of those quick plays that we see him getting it to the flat, where he'll line up behind one tackle and run behind the from left to right behind the line of scrimmage, and you'll see Rodgers throw it out there to him. Or even in this past game where he's the safety valve, right? He stays in, chip, and then turns around, catches the ball, and try to make something happen because of his athleticism run after catch. We don't feel Muth is as athletic and dynamic run after catch as Jonnu, but we feel like Muth is more dynamic and run after catch than Darnell Washington. So you can see where Muth is kind of in that in between. So when I want to go obvious pass, or if I want to get busy with, an athlete in the backfield at tight end, I'm going Jonnu Smith. But when I want to go heavy run, or if I really need to protect, I'm going Darnell Washington. So Muth is kind of that odd man out. And that's why I look at him as the season is continuing to progress. I know people bring up Highsmith as like, yo, that's why you want to trade. And I'm like, I don't think Highsmith is in this conversation. I really think Muth is the guy that's becoming more and more odd man out. And especially with the emergence of Darnell Washington, not just as a blocker, but as a receiver. When you start seeing jump balls consistently go to Darnell Washington in the red zone, when you're starting to see Aaron Rodgers hitting Darnell Washington on little 5-yard out routes, and you're seeing just how frequently he's out there, now it's becoming more of an issue to defend it, because now I can't just look and say Darnell Washington out here, it's either a run play or play action pass. He's not going out. With Darnell Washington starting to run routes, with Darnell Washington starting to get targets, as a defender, I have to look at him differently. And now, if you're Arthur Smith, how do you move away from that for Pat Fryermuth? Because right now with Muth, he's not having that same type of impact, or even making defenses look at him and say, whoa, how should I guard this one right now? And that's part of the issue. And unless your offense is hitting on all cylinders and you got the disposable income to say, you know what, we can give a couple of series to just try to get this guy involved. Yeah, you're not going to see him, because we don't have that right now. We're still trying to figure out, can we consistently do these concepts? Right. If our offense has been looking like how it looked yesterday all season long, I think the way that we're talking about Muth is different. We'll be over here like, hey, you know what, we should get him involved. But because of how our offense has looked, we don't look at Muth and say, oh, why haven't we getting him involved? We're like, hey, man, maybe that role is about to get all the way diminished because of what we're seeing from Darnell and because of what we've seen from Jonnu. And I think that that's the stuff that's making me look at Muth a little bit kind of like, all right, it might get weird in a little bit, man. When you say that trade deadline was? Yeah.
November the 4th, 4 o'clock Eastern. And Arthur, I look at the snap distribution. So what we're talking about in running the ball, and the Steelers did that as well as they have. Here's the thing, Arthur. I did not think that the Steelers would be able to run the ball against Minnesota.
That made two of us.
I didn't.
That made two of us.
So, but you're talking about the snap totals. Washington, 48 snaps. Connor Hayward, 16. Yep. Fryermuth, 15. Jonnu Smith, 13. So Connor Hayward had more snaps than Freiermuth. I've seen in previous seasons when Ben was still the quarterback, throw jump balls up to Pat Freiermuth. He can win those combat catches.
Absolutely.
Another component too, Arthur, and I don't think it would be sugarcoating it to say this, but we have 4 games to take this as a sample size. The rapport you have as a pass catcher and your relationship with Aaron Rodgers as well. I've heard Aaron Rodgers talk about the tight end group as a whole. I've heard Aaron Rodgers compliment Darnell Washington several times.
He's been doing that since training camp, if you think about it. Like,
he's trying to tell us.
That's been his guy. Yes.
If you listen to the players, they will tell you what is going on.
See, Mark, Mark, you've been doing this for too long now. You actually know the secrets. Say, if you actually listen, they're going to tell you the secrets. They might not flat out say, yo, that's my guy, but you just hear how often he is talking about Darnell Washington. You watch how hype he gets when he targets or throws it. It's like, yo, that's his guy. He likes him.
And it makes sense. I would just like to see Freiermuth utilized more. And if they hang on to him and then Calvin Austin is out for an extended period, find ways to incorporate him into the passing game. Because I look at $12.8 million cap hit, 7 receptions through 4 games.
Not good enough right now.
I can't put that all on Freiermuth. If again, he's getting fewer snaps than Connor Hayward. And again, I can't speak out of both sides of my mouth to say, well, I really like the running game, but they have to force feed Pat Freiermuth the ball. You can't have that both ways, but I would like to see the Steelers utilize him more relative to the salary that they're paying him to make plays that I know he's capable of making. But if the blocking is so bad, or it's just so much, maybe not even bad, but
it's not even saying bad, but think about it like this, right?
Better, if it is much better with other players like Darnell Washington on the field, I understand the situations and the decisions that you've made. And again, we go back to good problems to have, Arthur. You're 3-1, but $12.8 million and 7 receptions as a tight end in the NFL for what he's making. Was he a top 10 paid tight end? That's got to change. That has to change.
Yeah, so I look at it like this. Do we want more usage from Move? Sure. Not even necessarily in terms of the snaps, more so in the sense of if you're going to give him 13 plays or 15 plays, how many times are you actually targeting him in those plays? I know some people will get caught up in, man, put him out there more, but it's like, man, you don't necessarily have to if you don't feel like changing the flow or the structure of what you're trying to do offensively. But what you can do is increase his overall targets, because right now he's not even getting targeted a lot. I mean, you look at him in this past game and it's like, okay, where's Pat Freiermuth? How many targets did he get? You can't find him. You see what I mean? So that's the part where it's like, yeah, you don't have to up him to 20 snaps, but if you're paying him $12 million and we know what he is capable of doing, that is something that maybe we'll become a little bit more intentional about. But I still think that part of that goes back to the flow of what we're trying to do. Up until, this game, even after last week's performance where we said, hey, Rodgers wasn't sacked a ton. He wasn't hit a ton. Or excuse me, in terms of QB hits, he was pressured, but it was still this narrative, once again, in terms of, O-line not being good enough, Pat Meyer and company. But with that, the mindset was, the reason why you don't see a lot of tight end targets right now is because those dudes got to stay in and help protect. Those dudes don't have the time for a move to go run some of those down the grass routes that we know he's good at, where we know he can really shine, because we can't protect that long. This game, it looked different. But once again, of our 4 games, how many times does our offensive line look like how they looked on Sunday versus the Vikings? Because up until that point, it's been, okay, it's Broderick one game. It's the interior part of the offensive line another game. Heck, it's the whole offensive line this week, right? So when we're talking about the game plan or even trying to, these are the areas we want to focus on throughout the week, you get into the game and it's like, oh, we can actually protect this week? Oh, we actually got a good matchup this week. We're looking good. Oh, all right. Well, what do we do right now? And it's almost like, yo, we weren't planning for this, because why would they have been planning for that? So part of me does feel like as the offense continues to find a rhythm, as the offense continues to show that you can trust this group a little bit more up front, you can trust these wide receivers a little bit more, this running game will be a little bit more consistent. Like we said, our first 100-yard performance on the ground yesterday, right? I think that will allow Arthur Smith and company to, okay, now let's look and see where can we get even better at. Yeah, we got out of this stadium and that was great. It felt great, man. It was a fun flight, right? Hey, everybody drink a little, you know what I'm saying? A little beer. All right. But after that,
A
it's like, yo,
Guinness.
a
Split.
Guinness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, now that we're done with that and we've passed that, what can we do to improve our situation? Because I know the doom and gloom approach, right? Yeah, man, they're down there somewhere, right? Whichever that great team is that we don't know just yet, we're going to figure it out, right? But whenever that team comes up, we want to make sure that we're clicking on all cylinders and we have answers for all of that. Well, we learned a lot of information in this Vikings game. So now let's see, following this bye week, what can we take from there into that opponent, right? And now whatever we learn from there, let's keep building that and building and building it. And then eventually we'll look up and figure out which of whatever teams that we've currently beat or lost to were actually good or not good. Because you know how it is, as the storyline goes, we kind of already pointed that out, right? A Vikings team a week ago versus now. So as we just continue that forward, man, let's just figure out what is working. And now from there, we know, okay, get a little bit more move. And if move isn't able to get fully integrated to this offense, well, heck, after 2 weeks, man, make a move, right?
Yeah.
If we're feeling like, yo, this is an asset to somebody, whether we're talking contract, whether we're talking about production, whether we're talking about potential, he will be an asset to somebody's team. So let's flip that. And now we can maybe get us a receiver off of that. We don't really want the long-term draft pick element. We're not into that because for that, I would much rather just keep move. But if we're talking, you know, getting a chance to get an actual player that can come and help us right now, that for sure becomes more of the thought process if we can't, after the bye week, figure out more ways to, you know, have Move be an impactful player.
And I think you have all the draft picks you need. What do the Steelers have, like 12?
Yeah,
for
I'm
the
like, I don't want another draft pick
draft.
back, man.
So
I know people, hey, we can get a third round from Move. I don't want to pick. I don't want to pick. I want a player.
Some of the struggles with the offensive line and the offense as a whole in controlling the line of scrimmage up front, Arthur, is highlighted by the fact that even though we're happy the Steelers got 100 yards on Sunday against the Vikings, the Steelers have not won time of possession in a single game.
Crazy, man.
4 games this year. So I'm happy the bye week's coming when it is, not just for injuries, but can you find a way to flip that to help your defense out? Arthur, you don't complain as a defensive player. You get the job done regardless. But I'm saying to play complementary football, okay, why isn't Freiermuth more part of the offense? And why can't he do some of the things that Darnell Washington is doing? Well, you're still losing that battle up front right now. Has it been better? Has there been some progression? Sure. You need to continue to see that. Go in time of possession in a game, though, because that has not happened through 4 games this year. So you need Darnell Washington as an extension of your offensive line to try to get as good as you can be up front. And it's still a work in progress. Still a lot of young players on that offensive line, too. So that's not going to be perfect. Look, it needs to be better come week 18 than it was in week 1. I think they're trending in that way through 4 games, but there's still a lot of season to go. And that's part of the reason you see players like Darnell Washington or Jonnu Smith or Connor Freiermuth get more snaps than Pat Freiermuth or Jonnu Smith. As surprising as that is. The time of possession, man.
No, you're right about
measure,
that, man.
But that adds up over the course of the season. Over the course of the season, it adds up.
Absolutely, man. And every time, you know, when you're talking about a minute to 2 minutes of a game, right, when we're looking at the time of possession, just think about how many snaps take place. We saw in a positive manner how much takes, you know, just between you tackling a guy and making them have to snap the ball 4 times, even though they score 4 snaps, how much time that takes. So it's like, yeah, you miss out on opportunities. You miss out on the chance to even get that opportunity, right? To, hey, man, can you make a play right here? We won't even know because, hey, I don't have a chance to even call these 4 plays. We don't even get these 4 plays. Then you start looking at how many total plays in the game. It's like, oh, you was only at 58. You was only at 6. It's like, that's all of that matters. All of that are the minutia part, right? When we're talking about a performance, we're talking about how to win in these games. I also look at the fact that, once again, we were still outgained. Right? When we're talking about just total yards, it's like that number is still too high. And I get it, man, with Carson Wentz, the 350 that he threw for 2 touchdowns. He also had the 2 picks, but part of that is also the attempts, 46 attempts. So with certain things, you know,
Hang on, I want to hop in here. That is not a recipe for a backup quarterback to say, go back there and throw the ball 46 times in the game and go win the ball game is a backup quarterback.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
And I know Aaron Jones was out for Minnesota. I understand, but 46 times for a backup quarterback. Good luck
Come
winning.
on, man.
Good luck winning.
I'm like, it's just very heavy-handed. It's very one-sided, and I get it. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Anderson both ended with over 100 receiving yards. But it's like, man, you just feel how one-dimensional you feel, and or how it's like, if you don't have an explosive play, you're screwed. Right? If you don't score on your explosive plays, we talk about the Justin Jefferson slip. We talk about Jordan Addison getting caught. Those are the explosives that you're hunting all game, right? That's why you're throwing it 46 times. And it's like, dude, it's just a tough way to live. And then you look at the impact of those interceptions. It's just a tough way to live. Heck, we didn't even talk about the near misses, right? I mean, obviously the Pierre, we could say near miss or not, but heck, I even look at Sean Elliott dropping the pick at the end. I'm like, that was another one you should have had. So
he said like, he said after the game, he told ESPN's Brooke Pryor he should have caught it.
Yes. I'm like, man, we don't give them nothing. Absolutely not. But that's the thing. Like you said, man, 46 times. So just full circle. This is when we talk about from a defensive mindset. It's like when you're defending, where can I create some positive? Where can I create some splash? I have more opportunities to create splash when that ball is being thrown because of the sack, because of the pick. Now, granted, the flip side is, yeah, you could give up an explosive play, and that's the high risk, high reward element of it, right? But at this level, if you do it right defensively, you can make it work for you. And we're not, and trust me, man, we agree. The times have changed. We're not talking about these performances as you're supposed to be blanking teams pitching shutouts, 3 points allowed, best case. No. But situationally, you better feel good. You better be able to have turnovers, and you better be able to keep points off the board. And that is one of the things that the Steelers have been finding ways to do. They're giving up the yardage, but every single game, they found ways to create turnovers. They found ways to be good in the red zone, and they found ways to get off the field when they had to in some of those moments, man.
Definitely.
And here we are, 3-1.
I think we get back-to-back weeks where the defense has responded the way that it's needed to after those first 2 weeks. It's like, oh, man. I had one other thing, Arthur, from this game that I wanted to get to, and I want to know more information before there's too much of a hot take one way or another. Yeah. I hope Skylar Thompson is okay.
Yeah.
The reports of what I read are scary. The first thing I thought of is where was one of his teammates?
Hold on, Mark. For those that maybe people don't know, just
sure,
break them down for them. Yep.
Sure. So they were saying that were there two masked people that jumped and robbed him. Thankfully, only had minor injuries. Was held out on Sunday as well. I hope he's okay. I hope they can catch whoever did this crime.
Assaulted him and robbed him,
Just terrible. I hope there's a camera somewhere, again, like to where we can get more. I want more information. It's incomplete information for me to say. I don't think we know enough of what happened exactly. The first thing I thought of, though, I'm like, man, why he wouldn't be with a teammate there of some sort. But obviously it's like, look, this was such a unique experience playing in an international game and everything too. I hope that doesn't sour everything that happened. I am glad he is okay. I'm glad he is safe because you take a scary situation. It could have been much, much worse. But the very first thing I thought of, Arthur, is like, where were his teammates or why wasn't he with a teammate? But again, I want to know more information before I come to any conclusions with any of that. But I'm glad he is okay.
No, without a doubt. And the fact that he is okay is the most important part, as you already said. And that is the other part in terms of, since he wasn't, from our understanding, seriously injured, I don't think it's going to deter the NFL from continuing this, because we know what they're ultimately trying to expand it to in terms of the international foothold. But I do think that they are going to look at this situation and figure out what went right and what went wrong. Obviously, we don't have all of the details, because to me, I think that there are multiple things at play when you're talking about what day was it? What was the timing? When we're speaking specifically of why weren't teammates with him, if the scenario in terms of the timing is closer to game day, not everybody is going to want to go anywhere, whether you're talking about a casual restaurant or if you're looking for a night entertainment, right? And I don't know one way or the other, but just as the player who's kind of been in those scenarios when you're on the road, sometimes, yeah, man, we can't wait to go out, man. I'm ready to hang wherever we're gonna go. Let's go to dinner. Let's go, see the town a little bit. Then there's other times where it's like, man, I'm not leaving my room. I think DK Metcalf, right? They asked him, hey man, how excited are you to see Ireland? He's like, I'm gonna see it when I'm taking off on the flight. Like that's all I want to see. Other than that, the bus ride in. And I get that narrative, I get that mindset also. So, like you said, man, we're all waiting to see more details. If video shows, that would be great because now we don't have to deal with the, prejudgment, or in a sense of, because we're more familiar with this person or not, now we kind of, shape it one way or the other. It's like, man, let's just wait till the evidence comes out, man, one way or the other, and we'll get more factors. But I am truly glad that Skylar Thompson is all right, man, because, yeah, man, in life, I don't think there's anything that we should ever feel like we need to take another person's life or assault a person, man. It's like, bro, we ain't got to do that, man.
Yeah.
We can talk. We can figure this thing out, man.
And the players are human. And I say this.
And that's why,
Arthur, I spent the first few years of my career in Knoxville, Tennessee. I remember in 2019, I was visiting Nashville. I was not going to this game, but the Titans were playing the Chargers. I'm not going to name any names. The bar I was at on a Friday night, there were several Chargers players there. And I just gave this a quick Google. The 2019 Chargers, their record was 5-11. By that point, the season was probably already lost.
They already shipped their cars,
any of those guys for going out? Yeah. No. They're human. They're human.
Yeah.
So,
and some of these dudes, man, honestly, they feel like they play better with the edge. They feel like they need to kind of blow off some steam because you're so stressed. I mean, you talk about this lifestyle, the preparation that goes into it, but also having to deal with constantly having to feel perfect. A lot of us struggle with that even when we're done playing. You're constantly feeling like you're under a microscope and you have to be perfect because coaching staff expects perfection. Fans expect perfection. Media expect perfection. And then even when you deliver, it's still never good enough, right? So it's like, man, dudes be looking for ways to just blow off steam. And you try to find healthy ways, right? Play golf, right? Go play video games. But then you got the other side of it, right? Where I got to go out. I got to drink. I got to race cars, right? I got to go, fight somebody just because. I just got to get off, right? And those are the things that you just, when you talk about that youth and what they're dealing with, man, it's like, man, you never know how these guys are going to handle those situations. You just hope that they're finding healthier, safer ways to blow off that steam. But I mean, it's a highly stressful job, man. And there's a lot of pressure to not just perform. You have to excel at this thing because it's week to week. Heck, we're going to praise Broderick and Pat Myers this week. And if they suck in 2 weeks, we're going to be right back on their head, right? Hey, man, what y'all doing? This ain't good enough. I don't feel comfortable with it. Who are options that we can have, right? We know how that goes. But as the player, when you're living that, imagine if every time you went to work, Mark, it's literally you're either going to keep your job or we should fire you just based off of your shift. Just not what you did for the whole week, just your shift, just that day. That's the life that NFL players live. NFL coaches live. We come up here and critique that, but it's like, yeah, man. So when you talk about these dudes figuring out ways to unwind, you be like, bro, you just, please, God, just do something safe. Just do something safe, man.
That's real. And I'll say this too. The Super Bowl teams, I hosted the show with Ike. When they talk about, and this is talking about pre-social media era. Before TMZ and all that blew up, oh my Lord. And I say this with love to all the players, but the camaraderie that they built off the field then translated to on the field.
1,000%.
So there's two sides to that coin or two sides to that sword of, this player out doing something later.
Yeah. Mark, honestly,
there are benefits to it as well, is what I'm saying. There's two sides to the coin.
I'm agreeing 1,000% because I'm one of those guys that in times in the past, I've been on both sides of that where you're too clean and I need to know that you really are with us. You won't ever go out. You never can pass up. You can never, hey man, everything is always no. It's like, man, how do I know that you're willing to put your face in the fan when I need it on this fourth down? How do I know if I'm over here getting blocked, man, that you ain't gonna go over here and throw me your body and do whatever it takes to make this play? You won't even sacrifice just coming to dinner with us. You won't even try to just hang out and get a casual drink with us. I done been on that side where it's like, dang, you right, bro. And then I've been on the other side where it's like, hey, man, do you like us? Because you never hang. I get it. We all got kids, but you never, like, I've never, is it personal? Because I'm starting to question, should I be putting my body on the line for you if you're not willing to reciprocate? That's the camaraderie.
That's real.
So,
that's real.
And it's levels to it. Some people, they take it to the extremes, and we get that. But when it's done the right way, the camaraderie for sure is what you're hunting. And that's one of the things that Coach Tomlin does preach here. He wants you to hang with each other, and not just in the workspace. He doesn't want coworkers. We want family. Coworkers, we only do it when we're paid to do it, when we have to do it, when we're obligated to do it. But man, when that's your brother, when that's your family, it's like, look, man, I know, bro. I got the kids, man. I got the kids. All right, look, I got 20 minutes for you. Okay, I give you 20 minutes. That's what I got for you. All right, but that's all you need. Just enough to let me know, like, yo, you got me. And man, if you call me, I got your back the exact same way, man. That's all we hunting, though. That's all you hunting.
I love to see it when the offense and the defensive players hang out, and you get like a lineman hanging out with a skilled position player too, and it's like a buddy cop movie. Yes. Arthur, it's the best. Yes. It's the best.
I love it, man. So, on the back of this thing, though, man, final takeaways, both positive and negative, from this game.
We've already gone through the coaching decisions and just that, to me, though, you've got to be able to execute that. And yes, Arthur, I'm of the mindset to be able to be in a position to be aggressive if you actually want to chase that coveted playoff win. I'm not even talking about a Super Bowl, Arthur. I'm talking about when it comes to January and this team is still somehow 10-7 again, and we're going up against Buffalo, we're going up against the Chargers, or we're going up against Baltimore, or whoever it is that makes the playoffs in the AFC, to be able to play a full, well-rounded football game. That is the reason why I'm as critical of those coaching decisions late. So, look, you're 3-1, top the division. You've got Cleveland coming out of the bye week. We're talking about, how's this young offensive line respond? Cleveland's got a pretty good defense and a player who's a mutant by the name of Myles Garrett. That's going to be your next test. You got to try to get right, though. I look at the injuries. Can you get Joey Porter Jr. back from the hamstring? How long is Jalen Ramsey going to miss? If Calvin Austin III is going to miss extended time, do you go try to get a receiver? Try to get Jalen Warren back into the mix. But if Kenneth Gainwell's got the hot hand, I would try to build off what you had against Minnesota, because, again, going into this game, I did not think that the Steelers would be able to run the ball as effectively as they did. And then the defense has to continue to play how they did in weeks 3 and 4 versus how they did in weeks 1 and 2. Those are my thoughts after the win with Minnesota. But, Arthur, thrilled to be 3-1 versus how much nastier this conversation would have been if the Steelers were 2-2 today.
2-2, 1-3, 0-4. We're like, none of that. But once again, we are 3-1. So that does let me know, hey, man, they're doing something right, because there's not a lot of 3-1 teams around the league right now. We look in our division, not a lot of 3-1 teams, and some of the teams that were expected to be 3-1 or 4-0, they're not looking like that right now. So far, so good. And let's see, man, a couple of other takeaways. I do like the fact that coaches as well as players can do the ebb and flow. They could be valley one week, they could be mountaintop the next week. So it's good to have that mountaintop feeling, because when you win versus coaches that are perceived as better offensive and defensive minds, and you beat them convincingly, it's actually kind of refreshing to see that. So I do tip my cap to that part. And then my final takeaway is, I love the fact that we all would agree the standard is the standard. And that standard is not playoff wins, it's Super Bowl championships. So unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles, all of those teams are in the exact same boat as the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I feel good. I feel great, because there's only 2 other teams that we can realistically look at and say, yeah, they have actually done that. Outside of that, playoff wins is not what the standard is in Pittsburgh. We want those wins, but we know we don't care. We can win the wild card, and then we don't win the Super Bowl. We're still going to be hollering about fire people. They're not good enough. If you lose an AFC championship game, we're still going to be saying what? You got out coached, right? Your players were not good enough. So we're not going to minimize it and downgrade it to that. No, it's a championship. But if it is that, we'll make sure that when we speak on Baltimore, we keep that same energy. When we speak on Buffalo, we keep that same energy. When we speak on the Chargers, same energy. Bengals, same energy. So just keeping that same energy, baby.
Yeah, man. I'm with you. And
because a lot of teams that ain't proven it just yet. Baltimore ain't proved it just yet.
I'm glad
Buffalo ain't proved it just yet.
Yeah, I'm glad we can breathe though after yesterday though, because it was like the end of that game was much more stressful than it needed to be. Yeah. It's like it used to be a few years back. It was like, oh, the cardiac Steelers. And Arthur, as I get older, it's like I don't need the heart attack Steelers. Like it's like, you know.
Come on, man. We find comfort in these close games, baby.
I got one other thing, too, and I can't believe we're an hour in and we haven't mentioned this. Winning that game and the significance that it means to the Rooney family.
Absolutely.
Dan Rooney is the former ambassador to Ireland. And they talked about that some post-game, pre-game of the significance of what it means to the Rooney family and Mike Tomlin conveying that to the current players as well. Yeah. I think that's really special. And there's something special about that in terms of just what the Rooneys mean to the Steelers, what the Rooneys mean to the city of Pittsburgh. And again, Dan Rooney's role as an ambassador to that country too is just, that was special, Arthur. That was special.
Yeah. 1,000%, man. Like I said, RIP DMR, man, but for sure that was beautiful to see. And not just in terms of how the team responded, in terms of how, the coaching staff made sure that was a point of emphasis, but even the fan base that was out there. I mean, you can see the amount of just Steeler fans, right? Crazy. We know in terms of the ones that flew in, but in terms of just the local footprint, that is also a huge testament to the Rooney family, man, and their ability to connect with Ireland, connect with them on that level that for the first time, we had never played over there. We come out there and you can just see the reception. Heck, you look at some of the videos around the city of, man, just the guys arriving and the love that they felt. You look at that game, man, it looked like a home game. It was a Steelers home game. It was in Ireland, but it was a home game. And that was also just a testament to what the Rooneys have been able to do. And like I said, man, just the fan base as a whole in terms of the worldwide element of that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I would love to see it again. I hope we don't have to go to another decade to see the Steelers play across the pond.
You heard what Roger said, man. Roger said, he said, man, we should be back here from now. Come on, man. Yeah,
and it's like, here's the whole other pod for this week. Roger's coming back for 2026 when he's 42 years old after another ayahuasca retreat, Arthur. Oh, man.
I heard they talk about MVP favorites, MVPs. I said, these MVP conversations. Wait a minute.
Through 4 games, I like what I've seen through 4 games. Advanced age or not, I think he's been as advertised with the Steelers. Yeah. I like what I've seen from Rodgers through 4 games. Keep him up. Right?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Yes, indeed, man. Mark, appreciate you as always, man. This is an absolute blast. Who would have thought we would have got into it like this after a beautiful international victory? I like the difference of philosophies. I like it. Yeah. So, y'all definitely let us know in the comment section, man, how y'all felt about it. And more importantly, man, which side are y'all on? Are y'all team defense or team offense? All right, we need to know. We needs to know. But don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We appreciate you for watching. And until next time, baby, peace.